But what is your book breaking about, and how did you come up with this idea?
Yeah. I always it's always a tough question whenever someone asks you. It's so hard to just like say, oh, like here's the back of the book and what it says. I I guess it bring it down to its the simplest level is it takes place in a region called Fievna, and on the book cover you can see there's a cloud wall called the Itinate that surrounds this area and protects the people that live in it. Um, and one of the main characters, Sefilm, she helps preserve the spirits of people that live, like the souls of people that live within this area, with the Zayath, the kind of magic in my world. And her companions realize quite early on in the book that there has been some type of taintedness to the Zayath and some type of poison, darkness that has infiltrated somehow their cloud wall into their region and has caused quite a stir, definitely for the worse. And so the story is about how this poison that has seeped in has affected their way of life, affected the main characters, and it kind of takes these three main characters on their story arc, basically trying to save their region, or at least, at the very least, discover what is happening, and takes them on a journey through that. There's a lot more I could probably delve into, but I don't want to spoil the book as well.
No, I know it's hard, right? Because you have to give enough of a preview for
Mhm.
people to read, but not enough, for people, to feel like you spoil things. So I know it's really
Absolutely.
hard. Um, so I'm gonna ask you a
Oh,
couple of questions.
coming
Yeah,
up
go
with
ahead.
the idea. I think you would ask how I came up with the idea.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, it wasn't. It was definitely a lot of planning and thinking about it. Um, there's a lot of stories in my world that I could have told, and it this one takes place in a particular time in place in my world, and it's very kind of hyper focused on this specific story, even though there's a lot of stuff that going on around it that you'll see in future books. um and so this idea was just kind of brought forth over time, over several years actually, and I decided that this was just the right story to tell. So it's something I've been thinking about for a long time, but it wasn't until 2 or 3 years ago that I had the specific kind of thought about how I wanted the poison to interact with the magic in my world, that it
Oh,
really kind
cool.
of ignited a spark, and I really kind of knew which direction I wanted to take it. So
Yeah,
a
yeah.
lot of planning and thinking and about 1% magic.
No, that's cool. Well, that actually eliminates a couple of my questions, but that's okay because I got some other ones. So,
Mhm.
I know, like for one of my fantasy settings, like I was like, oh, I kind of want to go. It's hard, right? Because you have like a really expansive world, but you want people to get used to it, right? And to get
Yep.
immersed. So, I picked like one city and I'm kind of book one, go from there, but you get to see a lot of cool things. You're like, oh, if you like it and you like the story, I keep going, right? And then it kind of gets more expansive for book two. I like when, people do that when I read. So that's why I like to write. Is that kind of what you were doing with just focusing on this one region, or like what really was like it that kind of drew you to this spot?
Yeah, my world is very huge, and what was really great about this book is, fortunately, just naturally, the story, how the region is set up, self-contains it
Cool.
anyway because of the cloud wall. So the
Mm.
people that live in Fievna, they just don't really know anything about what goes on outside of it. So it's very a natural place to introduce people to my world without having them to explain, well, how come there's no other, because it's a race of people that I made up for my book. How come there's no other races involved? Like they interact with any other civilizations? And to be quite frank, it was very easy to be able to kind of not necessarily explain that all away. I didn't make the cloud wall on purpose for this reason, but it was just a natural help, a natural aid, so I can say, hey, no, like
Cool.
this is where this world is focused right now because they don't even have any interaction with the outside world. Now, my future books will take place outside the cloud wall, and there'll be
Yeah.
more interactions. But it was a great place to start, I think, to introduce readers to the world, the magic system, and everything.
That's super cool. So I just want to make sure that, I have the right track here. So you had the geography already set up, and then you just thought, oh, if I went here, it would make a good story. And then it's a good viewpoint, right? For you to kind of branch out and give us like a zoom in and then kind of branch out from there.
Exactly. I always start with, and again, it's been kind of building this kind of universe of mine for quite some time, but I've always started with a physical map. I love maps. I
Hmm.
love creating
Yeah,
maps. I
yeah.
love looking at maps. And so I always start with making maps. And after that, I start with the history of, I start filling it with populations and how did they get here? And then obviously that goes into very intense world building in my mind and writing stuff down on paper. But I always start very large first, get the world, the region physically down, start with some high level stuff of what happened, how did people end up getting here, and then I And then it's pretty easy for the most part after that to see where stories happen. You know, is there going to be a war that happens over here, and for what reason, and how
Yeah.
does magic affect this region? So yeah, I guess it's a long way to say you're exactly right. I already kind of knew what this region was like, and so it was very easy for me to tell a story from this region for the first book.